Hello and welcome to EduBlush Visual Academy. We meet again. Today we're going to be continue with topic 5 of grade 5 mathematics. We are focusing again on the subject of multiplying 2 digits. We will be using factors and multiples in most of this subject. Previously, we have worked on factors and multiplication in that topic, and so now we can continue for the usage of factors and multiples. So now today we're going to be doing multiplying 2-digit numbers, and where we'll use predominantly the lesson we learned in the previous. So if you did not watch the previous video, or you are not well equipped with factors and multiples, I suggest that you watch that video. But if you do know much about those, then no problem. Join us and let's hit it. Let's hit the ground. All right. As I say, we are still continuing from topic 5, and this is multiply 2-digit numbers. Now, there are 2 methods in that you can use when you multiply 2-digit numbers at this time. Now we'll discuss these 2 methods. The first method is to break down one of the numbers. This method just means when you look at the number and you see it's a big number, you are multiplying 2-digit numbers and they're big numbers. Look at one and try to break it down in smaller pieces. Chop, chop, and chop, chop. Now, let's take an example here and see what is it that we're talking about. Let's say we have a group of 15 coins. Now, let's count the coins in so that we can work on 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So I have a group of 15 coins which comes up in 3, 3, 3. So there are 3 by 5 coins. All right. Now, this group of coins could be subdivided or could be break down into smaller groups. Let's now say we break them in a smaller group, one of 9 coins, 3 by 3, which will be 9 coins, and another group of 3 by 2, which will be 6 coins. Now, what does this mean? This means that 3 times 5, as you see from this group here of group of 15 coins, when we break it down, it gives us a group of 9 and a group of 6 smaller groups from this bigger group. So that means 3 times 5 could be written as 3 times 3, which represents this one here, and 3 times 2, which represents this one here. Now, 3 times 3, as we know, is equals to 9, and 3 times 2 is equals to 6. And now, 9 plus 6 is equals to 15. Now, this shows that if we chop this group, we can be able to calculate from these smaller groups and still find the similar answer. Let's look at it on the other way. Let's take 3 times 5 and chop this 5 into a smaller number. Now, 3 times 5 is the same as 3 multiplied by 3 plus 2, all in brackets. Now, this 3 plus 2 is the same as just 5. We've just chopped it 5 into smaller so that we can work it out from here. Now, when you have numbers in brackets that you multiply by another one out of the brackets, it means all the numbers in brackets must be multiplied, each of them, by the number out of the brackets, which means here, the first 3 is going to be multiplied by this 3 outside. So we're going to have 3 multiplied by 3. And we're going to have this 3 again multiplied by 2 here, and which will give us 3 multiplied by 2, and we add them together. So this 3 times 3 plus 3 times 2 is the same as just where we come from, 3 times 5. Now let's see, 3 times 3 give us 9, and 3 times 2 give us 6. So here is the same as having 9 plus 6. So we started with multiplication, but now we are adding up 9 plus 6. So 9 plus 6, as we know, is equals to 15. Now, this is how it shows that we can chop a number into smaller pieces and be able to work on it and make a good multiplication, as a difficult multiplication, a simpler one, and end up getting it right. Now, if you have understand this one, let's move on and take another example. Here I have a bigger example, 37 multiplied by 65. Now, when you look at this, it's saying 65 is quite a bigger number, and multiplying by 37 might be quite a very difficult problem to solve. Now, let's chop this 65 and work on it. We can chop 65 and make it to be 60 plus 5, which means we're going to get 37 multiplied by 60 plus 5. Now, as you remember, I said when numbers are inside the bracket and you multiply by the number outside the brackets, the numbers inside the brackets must be multiplied, each of them, by the number outside the bracket, which means here you're going to have 37 multiplied by 60 and have the same 37 multiplied by this 5 here. So 37 multiplied by 5, which will be written here as plus 37 multiplied by 5. Now we have just expanded this equation here to be at 37 multiplied by 60 plus 37 multiplied by 5. All right. Now you might be intimidated by looking at, 37 multiplied by 5, 37, what's this? Now we can take the 60 to the chop and chop it down again. Now when you chop 60, we get 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 10. Remember, 6 is the same as 2 multiplied by 3. Now 60 is the same as 6 multiplied by 10. Now instead of using 60, you're going to use smaller numbers, 3 by 2 by 10. And we substitute here on the 60 and have 37 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 10. We are making it more simpler. We're chopping it into smaller pieces so you can chow it. Very nice and easy. Now you still have 37 multiplied by 5 there. That might be a little bit intimidating. Let's look at it. We're going to bring 35 times 5 and work it out how to simplify it. Now let's chop that 37. Now 37 multiplied by 5, it becomes 30 plus 7 multiplied by 5. 30 plus 7 is still that. We'll just break it down. Breaking it down just means chop, chop. We chop it. Now here, as you remember, numbers inside the brackets multiplied by the number outside the brackets. We're going to multiply all those numbers, each of them, one by one, by that number outside the brackets, which means we're going to multiply 5 by 30. And then we're going to again multiply 5 by 7. And this is going to give us 30 multiplied by 5 plus 7 multiplied by 5. That it look a little bit simple. Bring them back in here. Let's work now. Now we have expanded that number now, which was at 37 multiplied by 65. Now is 37 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 10 plus 30 plus 5 plus 7 plus 5. Looks long, but it's easier to work on it when they are smaller numbers. All right, now let's move on. Now, here we have 37 times 2, which gives us 74. How is the same as 37 is the same as 30 plus 7, as like we did here. Then we're going to have 30 times 2, which is 60. 7 times 2, which is 14. 60 plus 14 is 74. Then you multiply by 3, you multiply by 10 here again. Now what is 30 times 5? If you feel intimidated, bring it to the chopping board, this side. On the sideline, 30 times 5 is the same as 10 times 3 times 5. Remember, 30 is the same as 10 times 3. Now, when you have 10 times 3 times 5, we can just multiply 3 by 5, which is 50. Remember, when you multiply 10 number by 10, we just add that 0 at the end of it or in the front. So 15 times 10 would be 150. Now we bring back the 150 in here, and we can work on it nicely. Now we have 7 times 5 again that we must add. So 7 times 5 is 35. You can work on that. 5, 10, 15, and so on until you get 35. Or you can do 7 multiples. Now let's add that 35 there. Okay. Now from here, you can see that we're starting to have numbers that looks more, a little bit easier to work on throughout the two, but we take 74 times 3 on a chop line so that we can work on it again. Now, when you take this 74 times 3 on a chop line, we work it like the same way, break down this number. 74 is 70 plus 4. Now, what we do, we have 70 plus 4 all times 3. Remember the same thing again. Numbers inside the bracket multiplied by the number outside the bracket. All of them, each must be multiplied by that number. So you're going to have 3 times 70 and 3 times 4. Now this 70 times 3 plus 4 times 3 will be easier to work on because now 70 times 3 is the same as 7 times 3 times 10. 7 times 3, 21. 21 times 3, 210. Easy there. Now 4 times 3, 12. Now we have 210 plus 12. So to add this is simple. 210 plus 12 add 222. You can still look at that. From 12 you have 10 and 2. Add 10 to 210, you have 220. Add 2 to 220, you have 222. Don't try to take shortcuts. It's easier to go a long way and get them right. Take a shortcut and get them wrong. The more you do it, the more you get to know them, you'll get used to them. Cool. Now let's go back and replace the 74 times 3 with our new friend 222. There. Now we have 222 multiplied by 10. We add 110, we add 35 to 150, we get 185. Simple. Now remember, multiply the number by 10. Yes. Now 220 times 10 will be 2,220. Add that to 185. We are just about to finish this one. Oh, you might look at that number and find it to be a little bit big. If you do that, take it to the chop and chop it up. Let's see how we can chop this one. 2,220 now becomes 2,000 plus 200 plus 20 plus 180 plus 5. Why? Because it's simple to add 20 to 180. 20 to 180 is 200. 200 to 200 is 400. 400 plus 2,000, 2,400. 2,400 plus 5. You got it, 2,405. That's how we have done this. When you see big numbers, we take them to the chopping side, we chop, we work on them, we repeat and we repeat. Now the number looks nice and beautiful. That is our first method of break down one of the numbers when you are multiplying 2-digit numbers. Now let's go on and look at the second method. This one is to break down one of the numbers into factors. These two methods looks the same, but you must see the difference that the second one, we talk about factors. And when we talk about factors, there is multiplication and division. You remember we were able to chop 65 into 60 plus 5. Those are not factors. We just break it down. But in this second method, we have to use factors. Now, when you say factors, remember multiplication and division. The first thing is to divide. Now, what is a factor of a number? Remember from our previous lesson, A factor of a number is a number that divides into that number exactly, leaving no commas, no reminders. Okay, now let's look at this. Let's chop down this 18 into factors. Remember how you get factors? We cannot use 1 because it will still remain 18. Then let's use 2. What is 18 divided by 2? 9. So it means 2 and 9 are the factors of 18. Now we can use these factors and replace them on there in place of 18. Now we're going to have 67 times 2 times 9. And then you see that the 9 also, you can be chopped. Let's chop it and find the factors and chop it. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now you can replace that 9 with 3 multiplied by 3, which are the factors of 9. Now there, we will have 67 multiplied by 2, multiplied by 3, multiplied by 3. Here, because we are just multiplying these numbers all the times, so the brackets here is just so that we can know where are we working, which numbers are we working on. Now this time we are concentrating on 67 times 2. Yes, that 67 need to be done. Something must be done to that 67. We're going to have to take it to the chopping board. Now let's chop it. 67 times 2 now becomes 60 plus 7 all multiplied by 2. Remember what we are doing with this kind of numbers? Each number must be multiplied by 2, which is outside the brackets. Now we're going to have 60 times 2. We're going to also have 2 times 7. Now both of these must be added. 60 times 2 plus 7 times 2. Don't forget, because this addition here, it's between the two. So when we multiply this by this and the 7 by 2, we must also add them back. Otherwise, you will be talking of a different number. Now, what is 60 times 2? 60 is the same as 6 plus 10. You can chop it again. 6 plus 10 is 6 times 10. Now, 6 times 2 is 12. 12 times 10, 120. So it means 60 times 2 is 120. 7 times 2, no chopping, it's 14. Then we have 120 plus 14. There we are. Now 140 plus 14, you want to chop 14, you can chop it. 120 plus 10, 130. 130 plus 4, 134. Easy when they are chopped, chop it. Now we have 134. What do? We bring it back and substitute 67 times 2 by 134. Make things easier. Life is better this way. 134 times 3 times 3. Now it seems like we're having that 134 there. What are we going to be doing now? Now here we can chop this 134 so hard that we make it so nice and look so easy. 134 become 100 plus 30 plus 4. Do not forget the brackets. Now we take out all these 3 outside the brackets because we have to multiply 134 by 3 by 3. Now we take 134 inside the bracket and chop it inside the bracket. And we take the 3 and 3 outside the bracket. And what it means about what we've been doing all along, we're going to have to multiply all these terms inside the bracket, each of 1 by 3 first. When you are done, we're going to have to continue again and multiply by 3. But let's not jump faster. Let's work step by step. First step, take 3, multiply by 100. What do you get? Simple, 300. Cool. Take 3, multiply by 30. What do you get? 30 is 10 multiplied by 3. Now 30 multiplied by 3 is the same as 3 multiplied by 3, which is 9. 10 multiplied by 10, which is 90. Chop, chop. There. Now, what is the last number? We take 3, multiply by 4, and we get 12. Then we bring back that 3 again because we have 2 3s here. Now we have used up 1. We are left with this 1. Now what you're going to do? Oh, we repeat the same thing again. We're going to take these 3 outside and multiply by all the terms inside the brackets. Now, the first thing we do, 3 times 300. Same way, it's the same as 3 times 3 multiplied by 100. So 3 times 3, 9. 9 times 100, 900. There you are. 3 times 90, we take it 90 to be 10 times 9. 9 times 3, 27. 27 times 10, 270. Plug that 0. Then there we have the 270. Now we move forward. We go to 3 times 12. 3 times 12, you can look at the same as 12 to be 10 plus 2. 10 plus 2, you chop it. Now what is 10 multiplied by 3? 30. What is 2 multiplied by 3? 6. What is 6 plus 30? You have it, 36. It's nice when they chop them. Now let's go on and look at this. Now we have to add only, but the numbers don't look so nice and easy. What do we do? Take them to the chopping board. Let's chop them on the side. Now we have 900 plus 270 plus 30 plus 6. You might think this is useless, but look at how easy it is. 270 plus 30, 300. 900 plus 300, 1,200. 1,200 plus 600, you got it, 1,206. That's how it goes. This looks very nice. Now, if you have done this now, or you forget any of the things that we've been doing, just go back to the beginning of the video and repeat again. If the chopping was difficult for you because maybe you didn't understand the multiples and the factors, watch our previous video and understand and master the chopping of factors and multiples. Once you've done that, you can come back again to the same video and do it again, and you'll get it right. And now that will be done with the multiple of 2 digits. Our next video, which is still on topic number 5, will be divide whole numbers. All right. Now that is then. Our next thing from here, as I mentioned, now we're going to be doing divide whole numbers. It's going to be divide whole numbers. So all the videos combined will finish up all topic 5, and then when you continue, we're going to finish up the whole term 1, and we'll move on to term 2. Continue to watch this video. We try to make them smaller and smaller so that you can be able to digest them. So we chop this subject in smaller pieces so that you can be able to do it and master it. With all that, I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in our next video. And thank you.